Lifestyle creep and keeping up with the Joneses is something that happens, and a lot of times we don't recognize it until it's too late. I remember when I got my very first job where I was making six figures a year, and at the time I was so happy because I put in so much work. I'm talking about so much work to get to this point in my career to where I could earn that kind of money. And things like that did not happen to people from where I'm from. I mean, of course, yeah, I thought about it growing up, like, man, if I made that kind of money, this would be great. But I never thought that it would happen to me. But I put in the work and I made it to that point. And if you've watched any of my previous videos, then you know that in my 20s, I was in debt, credit card debt more specifically. And I talk a lot about the process that I went through in order to get myself out of debt and the time that it took me to get myself out of debt. And one of the very first things that I focused on when I started making more money was, all right, I'm going to finish paying off this credit card debt. That was kind of the last piece to get me over the hill to finally getting out of credit card debt in my late 20s. And although I never put myself in that position ever again with credit cards, something else happened. And that was lifestyle creep. I remember I always had a car. I always had a car payment. And when I got the new job, I needed a new car, not brand new, but new to me. And it was substantially more expensive than the car that I was driving at that time. And then, of course, I had the newer car, so I had to buy new clothes, right? I needed to go out, buy the new clothes because I was making more money. And then the vacations that I was taking with my family that were mostly localized and modest vacations, it would be like a beach trip or something like that, local to where we were living at that point in time. But now I needed to go on cruises. I needed to go to Jamaica. I needed to go to Dominican Republic. I needed to go to other vacations that cost substantially more money than what I was used to paying for the vacations that I was taking prior to making that additional income. But again, I didn't get myself back into debt, but I was using the money that I could have used at that time to help start building the financial base instead of using that money to go out and try to keep up with the Joneses or on lifestyle creep. One other thing I want to mention about this, right? Just to kind of make sure you understand where I'm coming from on this. And I think a lot of people can relate to this. So you live in a neighborhood, right? And one of your neighbors comes home with a new car. And then, everybody's like, oh, that's a nice car, right? And then within the next 1 to 3 months, one or two more neighbors, they go out and buy a new car themselves. And that's the keeping up with the Joneses, right? Because we see something that somebody has that's nice and we admire it from afar. And it's nice to think about it or look at it because we're not paying for it at that time. But then we have to go out and we have to kind of match that, right? Because we want to keep up with what everybody else around us is doing. And I don't even think that we're really thinking about this like rationally when it's happening, because we just want to make sure that we look the part, right? You live in a nice neighborhood. Your neighbor just got a brand new car. So you have to make sure that you go out there, because if they have that new car, you got to have that new car. And one of the things that I used to say, and you might have said this in the past too, or at least heard somebody else say this, that if only I made $10,000 more a year, I'd be fine. Like, I'd be able to catch up on my bills. I would be able to pay for college or start that business or whatever it is that you want to do. If you had a little bit more money, you'd be able to do that. But guess what? That's not true. It wasn't true when I said it, and it's not true when you say it either. And I'm going to tell you why. Because what tends to happen is when you make more money, you increase your lifestyle up to the amount of money that you're now making. It happened to me, and I'm sure it happens to you every single year when you get a raise or when you get a new job, right? And that's one of the things that took me a really long time to understand. And that's when I kind of go back to the lack of financial education growing up. And I'm not going to blame that on anyone but myself, right? Anything that happened after the age of 18 is my responsibility. And I didn't take the steps that were necessary to educate myself on how to actually start to grow and build wealth. And that's what I talk a lot about on this channel, right? It's not always about being a millionaire or, having so much money that you could just go out and blow it every single weekend and do stuff like that, right? I mean, we see people talk about that online all the time, but it's not realistic. A lot of that's BS. It's not true. So one of the biggest things that I want you to take away from this video is that when, not if, but when you get that new job or you get that raise or you get that promotion or whatever it is, don't automatically go out there and increase your lifestyle. If you have an apartment or a mortgage that's around $1,000 a month and your new promotion, raise, or job, whichever it is that you get, pays you an additional 20% on top of what you were used to making, don't automatically go out there and move and get a new house or a new apartment. Don't do that. Don't trade your car in that you're paying $400 a month for and now go get a car that you're paying $800 to $1,000 a month for. Don't do that either. I'm telling you, if you can grind it out and stay down 5 to 10 years, you will have more money than you know what to do with it. I'm telling you the truth. I'm at a point now to where my wife and I can essentially go out and do what we want to do. We've been responsible with our money. We talk about budgeting a lot. We talk about what our current month or current year looks like. I mean, at the end of every single year, I sit down and I go over the game plan for the following year. I made a video at the end of 2024. I'll link that here if you want to go and take a look at it, where I talk about the things that I think about for the upcoming year. And that'll be the same here. It'll be the same this year. And in fact, this year, I'm going to do a mid-year review, probably in the next week or so, of where I kind of review where I'm at from a financial perspective, what goals I have for the rest of the year, and to see if it still aligns with the goals that I put in place at the end of 2024. So this video is not about not spending money, saving every dollar that you make. It's really just focused on not allowing lifestyle creep or keeping up with the Joneses to put you in a position to where you can't get to the bag as quickly as you could had you not let lifestyle creep or keeping up with the Joneses get in the way. All right, guys, I want to hear from you guys on this topic. Do you fall into either of these categories of keeping up with the Joneses or lifestyle creep? Has that impacted you at any point throughout your life? And if so, leave a comment down below and let me know. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.